Welcome students. This is the topic we have already discussed, especially about the research guidelines for evaluation of safety and efficacy of herbal drugs. We have discussed about various sections, actually how to select research and what are the pharmacological actions, how to be studied, and how how to give more emphasis to give the safety and efficacy of herbal drugs when we are coming to a research study. So, and as today what I want to have is, I just while the literature survey and regarding writing our reference and bibliography in our dissertation which you are presenting, the report, the project report, that time the student have to have an idea about what type or how we have to mention our references and what is the difference between reference and bibliography, and how to mention our bibliography in what how to make them to be present in our paper presentation. And this is what today I have taken some details to be to have a discussion. So you see, here the literature background is very important for any research study or any project work which the student is handling now in degree level, that 8th semester student. That's what I want to give in the student who is followed in 8th semester student, and also it comes in this that is quality control and standardization of herbal drugs, which in the subject we are having this part, and which I incorporated, which may be helpful for the student to write their dissertation after their completion of their research work or their project work. And literature background is survey should be the starting point for every serious effort in herbal medicine research. That's what I want to make the point out. It should be, you should go on referring. This is a sample which I have shown, just taking the hard copy of a research paper, read it minimum 6-7 times, read it again and again. Don't just read the abstract and say that they have done this, and don't overconfidence by means of reading a paper. You should read the paper line by line, and so that you can know the language which they have written, and it will be helpful for you to make a paper and also to make your dissertation which you are submitting, or a project report which you are submitting will be very much interesting for the other person to read, and also you will have the quality over it. So it must be recognized that knowledge about herbal remedies which is practiced in traditional method. It must also be recognized that while some publication on herbal medicine may not meet the stringent requirement of international peer review journals, they may still provide potentially useful observation and ideas for further study. So these all should be identified, and now we want to discuss today specifically how you are going to keep this citing and referencing according to Vancouver style. There are many styles which you know, that Vancouver style, Harvard University system, and international by US system are there. But we follow this Vancouver style system. Maximum people, when they are submitting a paper or when they are submitting the dissertation, when they are submitting the research report or their project report, this can be, and even the practice school report also, this will be helpful. That's why I taken a short class to show some examples of references and what is the difference between the reference and the bibliography too. And we have used the ideas and written material belonging to other authors is from a known work. in your own work. That means in your own work we have to mention the author. We are reading the various journals, and so that is what is a reference you have used. That means what is a reference means, first you should know it is a method used to demonstrate or give focus to our readers, to our demonstrate our readers who are reading our report or who are reading our paper. So readers, that you have conducted a thorough and appropriate literature research and reading. That is very important. The backbone of any research and the backbone of any project is your literature reference, how much you have read from many references which you have shown for your work, and what you have achieved from the differences what you have made from the various references you have made. So that's why what is reference I made, you should know that what is reference. It is a method used to demonstrate to your readers. To your readers means whoever, even your examiner, even your guide, or even someone who is reading your paper or reading your report. So you are giving that you have conducted, you are giving a sense of thinking out to that person. That is, you have conducted thorough and appropriate literature survey and reading. So the references will make your report more glamorous, more effective, more important, and it shows the importance of your work. So equally, reference is a knowledge that you have used the idea and the written material belonging to other authors in your own work. And as with all reference style, there are two parts where you cite the reference. You put asterisk numbers inside the paper, inside your project work, and you will write the details in the last page. You can see that number will be specified in certain areas. So cited, why we made it, sometimes numbers will be cited, sometimes short form will be cited, sometimes some indication will be cited which can be seen in your bibliography or in your reference page, which is kept in the last page of your submitting report. So there are two parts. What are they? One is where you cite, and the second one is the reference list which you made in the last page. That's simple. The two things how you are making. Why should I refer? Next question. Why should I refer for a research paper? Reference is crucial to you to carry out successful research and crucial to your readers who are reading your paper and your reports which you have submitted, the examiners who are before evaluating. So that is a very crucial and it is very important, so they can see how you did the research, how, the word how, why, what. These are very important words whenever somebody asking something when they want to evaluate. So how you did your research, the answer is given by means of your reference list, and where you cited and how much you have made, how much you take a reference is a very important part in your research work. Knowing why you need to reference means you will understand why it is important that you know how to refer or how to reference. Know how to reference. Knowing why you need to reference means you will understand why it is important that you know how to reference. So what should I refer? The next question is, what should I refer? You should include a reference of all the sources of information that you use when writing or creating a piece of your own work. When you say that it is my own work, I have identified this constituents, I have elucidated this structure, I have elucidated or I have identified this pharmacological effect, and I have identified this adverse effect or this formula, and I have prepared this formula. How? That is what the reference. How? With what reference? How? Which made you to inspire you to do this? These all answers can be answered. So these items should be listed in an order. That means, what is a bibliography? Now, just a minute. We should know what is a bibliography. So, the bibliography and reference, there is some slight differences there. So, there may be items which have consulted for your work. You have taken some ideas from the but you have not cited the number, or you have not cited that reference in your paper or in your report, but you can mention in bibliography, and it can be shown to the examiner, and it can give more value. But you are not cited there, cited inside the paper or inside your report. That I have made it little bigger and underlined, you should remember, but not cited. The first step citing, second step is listing out. That is the two things which you are doing in reference and bibliography. Understand, in your report paper. So, but you are not citing it in your paper, or you are not citing in your report, but you are listing out in the last page. Then that is bibliography. So that list out should be made in alphabetical order, because you are not cited there. Understand? So these items should be listed in alphabetical order by author and laid out in the same way as item in your reference list. So if you are citing from every work you conducted or every work you consulted, if you are citing all the list which is made, that is reference list. That is reference list. So you see, you will be needed to reference list means what? What all things which you have mentioned in the list in the last page, which should be cited in all the list in your paper or in your report, then that is called the reference list. So bibliography means not only if you are referred and you have listed out, but you are not cited that number or cited that reference in your paper or in your inside project list or project book body, then that is called bibliography. I hope you have got the idea what is the difference between the bibliography and reference. I made it in this, for example, for bibliography you should remember the underlying point which I have made in the slide, but not cited. Not cited inside the paper or inside your project or inside your body of the project or inside the inside the any methodology area or anywhere you have not mentioned, but you have listed out in the list of bibliography. That is bibliography. But you see here, if you have cited something and if you have listed out completely, you have not kept anything in the list without citing inside the paper or inside the project report, then that is called the reference list. So you should know that what is the difference between bibliography and reference list. As we have discussed before in your pharmacology, if you remember, what is this difference? Again and again he is lecturing means you can just imagine about what your teacher in pharmacology he might have told about. What is the difference between an adverse effect and a side effect? So when you see side effect, it is a parallel effect which comes in all the drugs when they are given, and it can be useful or it may not be useful. But adverse effect is not like that. Adverse effect is undesirable effect which is not at all needed. Understand? So they both are different, but anyhow they both are not the real therapeutic effect. Understand? So that's like here also the same differences. One comes inside the other. Understand? If you wish to show to the reader or the examiner who has come the bibliography which you have not cited in your paper, you can show it with them. Unused research paper for your work carried out, and you can bibliography list you can show to them, and you will need the number and listed in the bibliography, and it will give you more effort. Always check the guidelines with your guide, and you are given by the course outline, course out and dissertation. etc. You should refer. What is the university norms and what is the university curriculum, what they say is how many pages and what is the font you have to read. That is all the guidelines which is given by the particular coordinator and particular team of work who is in the institution. You should follow them. And find out if you are expected to submit work with a reference list and a bibliography. So reference include sources that have been directly cited in your paper. For each source, you will have to at least one in the list cited in the body of the paper. Bibliographies, on the other hand, contain all the sources that you have used for your paper and work, whether they are directly cited or not. Sometimes it may not be cited. Understand? So that's what bibliography can be have and wider when we compare to reference. Reference are particular. You have to cite and you have to write in the reference list. How to write the reference for your reference list in bibliography? By Vancouver Style, which we are following. So this will helpful for you to see your reference. The following examples for is two parts. In two parts you can see the information you should collect about each piece of work you use and how information is presented when you write a full reference. If work you need to refer has more than 6 authors are doing a work, you write only 6 and add at all. That is what the rule you have to follow. And you should list the first 6 authors and you just add at all. Example, you see, example of this one you can see, that is Petri, KJ, Miller, JT and Schimmelberg F and Donkin L and Broadbent E, LSCJ. 6 members came and they put et al. But there are many people who have worked in this paper. Understand? You can even just short down by 6 members and you put AET, AL, and you can put full stop and comma is usually we used to make. That you have to see that the topography I did not mention very clearly. And effect, capital letter immediately, the topic had the effect of providing information about the normal test results of the patient. It's the research work of the patient work and the practice work which they have done and reassuring of that is randomization control trial work have been performed. And British journal, that is British Medical Journal, number, year you have to mention and the number, and DOI means actually digital objective identifier, date, and also even BMJ means you have to know BMJ is mentioning about the British Medical Journal. BMJ number, understand? That is if there is a number, the world oldest medical journal, originally called as British Medical Journal, and the title are officially shortened to BMJ in 1988, and they changed the BMJ in 2014, and the journal published in a global knowledge of BMJ, which we can see in internet. Just I want to give you some information about this. So whenever you come across some reference, you follow this Vancouver system. And suppose if you see it is a printed book, starting from printed book, but most of us, we are not going to printed book now, we are having internet, so we download all the journal papers from the internet and email we are getting, so we should know how to present them. But first, starting from a book, printed book which is available in library, and journals which you are taking from library, how to write the list out which was I have given here in that. See, author, editor, if you are editor, always you should write, if he is an editor, author, editor means you should mention ed dot after the name, and the title should be in italics. You see this in title, whenever you are writing it should be italics. Series title, number, if part of the series, edition, you should write next come edition, and the place of publication, if the place of publication, and publisher's name and year of publication. So see that example, that is Simon's Annie, Menzies, and B. Kamar is initial, the second name which you are giving in an initial, and Matthews M, a short courses of soil and rocks slope and engineering. They have published in London, the place of publication, and the Thomas Telford publication name and 2001. This is a simple example. And you see, this is one example of picture just to show you. You can see here that is the first one which we mentioned is Jugu, that name L, and there is the first author name, and author name second, that is author name first name, and the second name in a dot, and second author's name and the first name. And next you can knowledge of sharing, that is that book title, and the place where it is published, and publisher's name and year. Very simple for you to just to show you how they are writing the bibliography in the page and the reference. This is for book. And book in online, electronic books which are taking. So there also you have to write author name. If it is an editor, always put ed, the same after the name. Title, it should be written in italics. The font should be font, and the italics is very important. Font can be changed according to the guide and as well as the norms which is given by each and every universities. What we are following in KUHAS, we can follow the same. And series title and the number, a part of the series, and edition, a place of publication, publisher, year of publication. But it is from internet, so you have to write available URL, available link, and date of access is very important. You should mention. See that example, Greek, ED, ABC of Inventional Cardiology paper which is submitted, second edition ED, and Chester and Willie Blackwell in 2011, available from in the available, where it is available, the link which we have written by HTTP, the link which we have written and details, and access date is 6th July 2017. Like this you have to mention if you are taking any references by online book. And chapter, sometimes one chapter will be edited by one professors or one universities, one institution in some one country. Well, that 2-3 pharmacopoeias may be shared by 2 countries. So in that case, edition, particular person, you should mention even there also the author name of the chapter and title of the chapter, followed by the edition means you should put ed and after the name, and the title of the book should be written in italics, and series number and edition and the place of publication, publisher, year of publication, and the page numbers we have to mention P and put a dot, and if it is a multiple page put a dash, and you can see the Partridge H and Hallam G, evidence-based practice of information literacy is the title, and you can written it Lipuyas, Williamson, K. Lord, and why we have written that name, because they are the person who have edited. They are the person not only edited, they are the person who have given the edition as well as the part of that paper which they have submitted. Exploring methods in, apart from the title, what they have written, exploring methods, information of literature research, and Wagga Wagga from the name and the place in Australia, and center of information in year 2007, and the page P 148 to 170. Like that it should be mentioned. And also journal article part printed. Suppose if it is printed article which is available in the library which you are taking, it's same like a book. You have to write author, title, journal, title, article, and the title journal of the journal should be written in italics, and year of publication, volume number, bracket they used to mention, issue number also, and page numbers in the article. So you can see that is Himber, Chihumber, PK, and Monjumber SK, foreign owner, and the probability, that is property rights control, is a paper which is journal Indian Industry. The Journal of Law and Economics they published in 1999 and 42, and within bracket the publication, that is sometimes in a year they may publish 1, 2, 3, that is this is one first publication, and in a year, and the page number is 209 to 238. Like this you have to mention. You see, I have given an example also. You can see this is another example. Irshad M is the last name of the author, and also the initial have been mentioned there, and the same in the second author and the third author, and you can say title is mentioned and the journal name is mentioned. You should mention in italics, but they did not mention. Better to mention in italics of the title of the journal. year of publication, and the volume of the journal is mentioned in, and the issue of the journal. Volume of the journal is 16 and issue is 3, and sometimes they will be having 3 issues, 4 issues in a year, and the page numbers are also present in this journal. And journal article in online electronics must be online articles which have to be digital objective identifier, and you should use this in your reference. If article has date, that is for example the digital objective identifier, and also date of the access is also very important, should be added. Author name, title of the journal, article, title of the journal should be written in italics, and year of publication, volume number, issue number, and also the page number of article should be mentioned. And that is what an example which I have mentioned here, which you can see that very clearly. There is URL and date of access, and that is there. For example, you are mentioning about the digital objective identifier, and the URL and the access, date of access, January 2015 was mentioned. You can see the example which here. This is also a corporate. Author means, suppose if it is, sometimes it is not, author is not mentioned, a cooperative, there will be lot of hundreds of authors will be there in an organization. So you can mention like International Forum of Globalization is one example, and report title, and you can see there is a publication place and publisher, and also the year of publication, and finally available website and source can be given in this manner. And the pre-printed journal articles are also, you are referring for our work, means you should mention it is pre-printed. What do you mean by pre-printed journals? Pre-printed journal articles. It is like you will find the article available in online prior to being submitted to the peer review. Review are not finalized, procedure and published in a journal, but you got the article. These articles are pre-print and may be placed in an online a repository or on a publisher's website, not in published, in publisher's website, but not in a specific journal issue. That also can be mentioned like this: author's title of the journal article, submitted, when it is submitted to which publisher, that is what you have to mention, because it is not published. So you have to mention that. Name of the repository should be written in italics, and reprint, you have to mention the preprint, and also the year of writing. All these things should be mentioned very clearly, because you should know this is preprint journal article which is not published. So this is one example how to write in by Vancouver system of which can be followed. And an example which I have mentioned here, you can see there is a more 6 authors you can write at all, and article title and page number, and these all things can also be followed what you followed in the previous one. And if it is a digital, then we can say it is digital, and also the source of the link can also be mentioned as I have shown here. And conference proceeding, individual papers sometimes. So in that, author, title of the conference paper followed by editor, organization, and always it should be written, editor means ed dot, and after the name, and title should be written in italics, and place of publication, publisher, and the year, and the page numbers should be mentioned in the P. And that is what the example which you have shown here. If possible, you just refer to my handout which I have given to you, so that it will be mentioning examples are very important when you are giving some answer. It may be asked in answers. Sometimes standard. What do you mean by standard? Sometimes name of the standard by an institution, there will be a standard, there will be a forum, there will be a standard, or there will be a profile which has been, there is standard number, you are referring a standard of an institution or an organization, then you have to write standard, name of the standard body, institution, standard number, title, on italics you have to write, and publication, place of the publication, and published, and year of publication. You can mention like British Standard Institution, British Standard Institution, BSEN, and in 1993 the numbers, and you have to mention to 2005, and what is the design and the style of structure they have made, and this type of, even in pharmacy also it is possible. When you are refer, sometimes standards will be available which is provided by sometimes the country or sometimes by the the pharmacopoeial organization, so that we can make a standards. And reports, some of the organization they may give reports, some of the committee reports, some of the meeting reports, some of the council they might give a report. So reports, there will be an author, editor. If the editor always put ED, and the name and title should be written in italics, and organization report number, and should be followed by actual number in figure, and year of publication, like we have given an example of, which is given shown in that Western North Atlantica in US department, how they did in 2001. So maps also, sometimes we are important to mention the maps. So in that also we will be having author, and usually organization responsible for publishing the map, and title, scale, what is the scale of map which you have published, and place of publication, and the publishers, and year of publication, like you can say British Geological Survey. Suppose not only Geological Survey, suppose you want to show about the geographical presence of the plants or the herbal drugs which you have taken for your research. If you want to show the map of the geographical source, that means you have to mention all these details. And website, web page, you have to write author of the website, editor, and also corporate authors. If individual, you cannot write simply www.google, and you have to write the title and available URL, and date of access can be, you have to mention as I have mentioned here. And if we are getting something from personal email also, that is also can be mentioned. Sometimes you have an official email from Illinois or some other library, or someone who is scholar who has been given for you, that is postman email also, sender email sent to you, and the name receiver and the date and the year of communication, that is can also be mentioned as a reference or in a bibliography. And personal communication, name of the practitioner, suppose if it is a clinical, and occupation, personal communication, date of which information provided, and this is an example for engineering consultant, but you can in clinical consultation also it is possible. Suppose you are taking a lecture or presentation, you have to write name of the lecture, presenter, and title of the lecture which you received, and the presentation in italics, and the lecture presenter, and the title, word, and the name of the institution and the location which is mentioned, and date of the lecture presentation. All these things should be mentioned. This is also can be written in a reference. And finally, we are coming to the NICE guidelines. This is an organization they have given. If they are organized, that is the National Institute of Health and Care Excellence of NIC, NICE guidelines in British, and also it can be a reference paper vision, follow the guidance of a book reference, or if you are referring this NICE and or online version, recommended to follow and advise the website. Other, same like cooperative author means you have to mention the full name, and the NICE of publication, National Institute of Health and the Care Excellence, and title you have to mention number of guidelines available, and it should be mentioned in italics, and date of publication available, the URL where you can get, and date of access can be mentioned. So this is about, I have made a small thing which you want to have a reference, how to write, what do you mean by Vancouver system, what is the difference between a reference and a bibliography, how to present our report, how to make I have given a small, very very small information which I know. Please try to perform. All the best. Thank you.